Hello Saber fans from Saberland, Jimmy here. It's a beautiful weekend for Star Wars Celebration here in the UK. I am not there today, which is Friday. I'm only there tomorrow. Couldn't justify the cost for going all 4 days, but I am dead excited to get up there tomorrow with my partner, and we're going to be meeting up with a few creators, having an explore of the venues, see what's going on, hopefully snag some merch, but we'll see. And we're just there to have a good time with some good people. So, with that in mind, and it being a beautiful day, I thought we'll celebrate some other creators within the community. So, you may not be aware of how I started in the community. I did some cardinal sins when I first joined. So, the first thing I did, saw an advert for a lightsaber by Ultra Sabers. This was 5 years ago, about 5 years ago. Maybe even 6, probably closer to 6. So I ordered 2, one for me, one for my missus. She picked out the one she wanted, I picked out the one I wanted. It took a very long time to arrive, and in that time of waiting for what would be the most subpar lightsaber you've ever seen to arrive at my front door, I thought I'd give it a go myself. So that's cardinal sin number 1, is ordering from Ultra Sabers. And then my next cardinal sin was ordering an empty hilt from 7 Chambers. It took forever to arrive. I thought, oh, I can do this myself, so I ordered one from them. It took forever to arrive. Months and months of chasing, months and months of promises, months and months of being given false tracking numbers, months and months of being given tracking numbers that did work but didn't go anywhere. Then eventually it arrived at my door before the Ultra Sabers arrived, which is ridiculous. I'm talking months here. I'm talking about 3 to 4 months between guessing. Was it guessing the 7 Chambers? Might have been guessing the 7 Chambers in hand, finally. And then I looked into it, into installs. I ordered a Verso soundboard from KR Sabers, my first ever install board, and I built an in-hilt LED. It was a TriStar lightsaber, and built that with the Verso soundboard, and it was amazing. It was awesome. I couldn't put the thing down. So then my Ultra Sabers turned up and was completely disappointed with a very, very expensive purchase. So I didn't have a great start into lightsabers, but given my deep desire for innovation, engineering, and design, I got a 3D printer, started designing a chassis for my 7 Chambers hilt, and then reinstalling the Ultra Sabers. And then I dove deep into chassis printing. From there I started buying hilts to then design chassis for just for personal use. And then I think I ordered the Crimson Lord Gen 1 from Saber Bay back when Justin was running it, and I designed a chassis, and then Rob from Kyber Customs here in the UK, good friend of mine, reached out to me and said, hey, any chance I could use your chassis design? Of which I obliged, quite happily. Very, very lovely fella. And then he kept on saying, oh man, your design's great, your board retention design's awesome, makes it very simple. How about you actually open up an Etsy store and start selling prints? So it was his suggestion, and it was great. So that was the first deep dive into me being where I am today. Thanks, Rob. So I started off just selling some basics, but then when I was designing FDM crystal chamber, FDM crystal chamber chassis for myself, it then became apparent that these were very much wanted within the community. So then, from there, started doing my Etsy store with crystal chamber chassis, FDM printed ones, and it was a big hit. They weren't very big at the time, if maybe not at all, I don't really know. I never bought anybody else's products other than hilts, and install parts. I never bought chassis from anybody else. So that came quite big, and then a couple of the installers for Corbanth at the time noticed my work and pointed me out to Randy at Corbanth, and then we reached an agreement to then start he would send me hilts to design chassis for that he would only use in the installed Sabers of his if they wanted FDM crystal chamber chassis or whatever. So that's how it grew and grew and grew, and I made more and more connections. So today, with that in mind, I have quite a big selection of hilts. I have 50 or 60, all fully installed. I think it's around that number. Don't quote me. And I thought, since it's Star Wars Celebration, let's celebrate other people's brilliant work. So I've got a small selection of hilts with me today, which I'll run through. Some of my favourites. They're oldies but goodies. So they're not all current hilts, all brand new designs or anything like that. They're just some of my favourites from the past. Some that I got for, designing chassis for, some that I purchased myself. A bit here and there, all over the show. But shall we get started with something small? This is the Atom Sabers Evan Peel. Now, Atom Sabers, I love their hilts. Inexpensive, available on Etsy. Great, simple designs, inexpensive, wonderful. So this takes a 7/8 inch blade. It's got this PCB up here to activate your switches with inside on the chassis. You've got cover tape on the back here. It came with some rubberized pads for either side to stick on. Mine started to peel off, the adhesion just went. It's just something that happens, it's no fault of anybody. So I designed my own and printed in multi-jet fusion plastic. Double-sided sticky tape, whacked them on the side, and here they are. Looks great. Gain access to your chassis from the pommel. Very simple. I think I have this taking an 18350. Excuse me. Maybe a 16350. High amp kill switch, recharge port, profi board here has to be held down with tape because there's no room for my board retention design in this one. 2 switches, and all of my stuff is installed with stock emitter PCBs, short pins, 22mm bass speaker on the bottom. Love this hilt, little niche product. It sits on the shelf, doesn't get pulled out too often, but what a great little contender this is. Well done. And you'll see some other stuff by Atom Sabers throughout this video as well. Love their work, really good, really good. Right, let's go on to something a little bit bigger. This is the LDM Second Sister hilt, retailed at Corbanth. Just making sure I am actually recording. So this one was not sent to me to design chassis for. Somebody had advised Corbanth they didn't think I would be capable of putting a crystal chamber in there. So I took the challenge, paid the great expense, and got the hilt into the UK and installed 2 crystal chambers in there just to prove a point. This chassis is available in Shapeways, as is the Atom Sabers, by the way. Most of the stuff is available in my Shapeways. 2 crystal chambers, built-in battery, recharge port is accessible under this little folding doodah here. Kind of hard to make sure we get a nice clear image of it as that top blade gets in the way.
Unpredictable. Outstanding.
There we go. Close that down. As you can see, side panels light up nicely, and then sound venting up here and here.
You're learning. Not quite as gifted as Sayer's last apprentice, but not bad.
This is the black ring edition of the hilt. I love this saber, it's a great decorative piece. There's a stand available as well, I've designed. It sits in the shelf, wonderful, beautiful hilt, and I'm quite a big fan of my crystal chamber design on the inside there. It is tight, it is a tight install, but I was proving a point, and equally it worked out really well. There we go. So, put that to the side. I'm going to start moving these onto the floor as I do them to make sure I don't repeat myself. What's next? This is a beautiful, beautiful hilt by Cal at KR Sabers. This is the original KR Sabers version, not the clones that you see on the market now that have copied him. Naughty, naughty. So, this is just a gorgeous hilt. It's copper body. It's absolutely stunning. Mother of pearl inlay all the way around. You have to stick in yourself, but you have to just be very careful doing it. One button. One way to access your chassis. Nice deep, big internal diameter. Perfect for a 28mm bass speaker. There's a crystal chamber of my design, or retention design. I've got it using 10 over many pole PCB up here. This is again another early design of mine. Probably could have gotten away without using that. I'm using a different one, but hey ho, that's what I used at the time. But yes, it's a wonderful, wonderful hilt. Very loud, very loud.
She's gone. What she stood for, what she fought for. The sun god. This mission is everything you cannot feel.
Oh, didn't insert the battery all the way, that's why. Silly me. So I've got it to make a sound every time you, so if you listen. So every time you put the chassis in, it will turn on the crystal chamber because you can't see it, so it might as well not light up, and it will also make a sound to tell you that it's in, and you can, when you take it out, it'll make a sound to say that it's out and turn the crystal on. All you do, time that up. Oh yeah. Love this hilt. Love this hilt a lot. Love the install as well. It's dead simple. And oh, my battery's falling out. And then I'll just flip that off. There we go. Yes, I'm a big fan of this hilt. This is a well-designed hilt. And with my chassis design, you didn't have to snip off all the screws on the inside, the length of the screws. It would actually just align your chassis for you. So that's a really, really beautiful hilt. There'll be more from KR Sabers on here in a moment. Let's go to War Sabers. This is the Carl Katan. Carl Katan hilt by War Sabers. It's a fairly big beast, but it is beautiful. I ordered this from War Sabers myself. I've had a couple of different chassis designs for it over time. Has a built-in battery. Funny, I haven't actually tested any of my batteries in these for a long time, the ones that are wired in, so who knows if they're working. There we go. My battery's low because it's giving a bit of fuzz. Can you tell? Yeah, it's giving a bit of fuzz. But yes, it's another beautiful install. An even simpler chassis is available on the Saber Bay, and it just slides all the way in like so, and is a self-aligning chassis due to the fixed half of the chassis up here, and then you just tie it off with the pommel. Nice firm plungers, yes, we like that. Nice decorative brass rods here, thick blade retention screw, reasonable blade depth, but this just feels wonderful in hand. I'm a big fan of the design of the Saber because I'm a big fan of the games I should say, but wonderful, absolutely wonderful. This is kind of, no wonder the batteries are on it, because I kind of reach out to this one to just turn on and swing around anytime. It is one of my personal favourites ever made. Well done then. Right, onto another Etsy retailer. We have the One Replicas SSQY. This is one of the original batch. So there's been a few different gens, of which we've encountered a couple of issues with chassis designs, because when hilt designers, hilt makers change the internals and don't say anything and don't release it as a different gen, it really screws over, really does screw over the chassis designers. When it should really fall in the hands of the hilt designers, just change your name. Just change the name to Gen 1 to Gen 2. It's not too hard. But we encountered that issue and we got it resolved. One Replicas apologised and we got it all sorted. So, this hilt was bought for me by my missus. It's a great, solid hilt. To this date, I can't remember how the chassis is made. I think it's that Allen key. To this date, this is still my favourite Qui-Gon to pick up. Then again, I think other attempts at the Qui-Gon hilt haven't been too wonderful. Here we go. There we go. So let's screw that all the way. Right, so we've got a double battery system here. So I left the kill switch on. Nice, simple chassis. I wish I didn't use a 24mm bass speaker, I prefer the 22s, but hey ho, there we go. This is a nice, robust hilt. And you just got to find your switch alignment button here, and then your Allen key, and thread the grub screw in to retain the chassis nicely. So it hasn't got deep grooves or anything like that, but it allows for really, really decent install. Plenty of space in there to get an install in. The Qui-Gon one is a bit of a tricky one if you go for deep groove version, because you lose a lot of space. But this is beautifully slim in hand. Their Super Stunt line, One Replica's Super Stunt line, is awesome. I have most of the hilts from their line. I don't need them, I just like them. So, big blade depth here as well. So the pins, wonderful hilt, well designed, well engineered, good job them. Right. Next one is the Sabers Depa Belieber hilt. Again, another very simple install. Very simple hilt. Nice and solid. Got a lot of brass in here, so it's very weighty. Got these thick aluminium shields all the way around. The install is very slim though, very slim. So it's one thing that you have to compromise with getting something to this scale. Unlike the 89 Sabers version and the Corbanth clones of those, this is not fat. Whereas those ones just like, whoa, it's like an old six thick. This is super slim in hand. Takes a 7/8 inch blade, I believe. I can't remember now. So what I've got. Yes, definitely 7/8 inch blade. Blade extension at the back. Top-tech wheel there. And so, yeah, that's it. It's one button setup. Turn off, unthread the pommel, gain access to the chassis, recharge port and coffee board, and rotate kill key. I've got this set very low. It's not a very great hilt for sound venting, I will say that, but again, this is just another favourite of mine. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread that off. So their sound venting is here. Big problem is you've got to also have this brass piece attached to it, which they do with magnets. Not a big fan. You know what I'm like with magnets. And equally, you have to come up with a method to hold magnets on the other side, which blocks off your sound venting. So this hilt wins my respect for what I was able to achieve on the inside for the install. And so I've got a lovely crystal chamber here. This is all resin printed, by the way, and not nice resin either, so it shrunk a little bit due to temperature. But I've got an accent piece here. Very, very quiet. And then it goes fast red. But in hand, this is a beautiful, beautiful hilt. I'm a big fan of this hilt. There are some natural improvements that could be made, but just because there are some flaws in some hilts doesn't mean they're complete write-offs. This, as far as I'm concerned, as much as the 89 Sabers version and the Corban replica versions of that one have great sound venting and what have you, and great install space and everything like that, I can't stand how thick they are. This is the best in hand on the market at the moment. Very good job, Atom Sabers, bringing something so good, so slim to the market and still capturing the detail that you want to see. Wonderful job, thank you. Right, here's another interesting one. This is the LDM Corbanth retailed Carl Catan hilt based on the Dark Forces game. It's a very, very solid contender. All it is a big solid hilt. And when I say big, it's not that big. You've got a really good body here to grab onto. You've got a neck up here. Big blade retention grub screw. And the blade depth is so deep, I can't even get my finger all the way down to touch the pins. So that's how deep it is. You have to unscrew the Covertech wheel, unscrew the pommel, turn, and then you get access to your chassis. In my one, this is the Twist and Click OLED crystal chamber chassis. Obviously I haven't updated this in a while. Whoa! And so you can see crystal chamber in it. Nice simple chassis, plenty of room through install because this is this is 28mm down here. I'm trying to remember what this is up here off the top of my head, but it looks about 31mm. Big size through install. Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. There we go. Find your position, shove it down, twist and click. Bespoke Jimmy Saber junk, twist and click design. Rotate that all the way down until you can thread in the Covertech wheel. So I glued a screw in, so you don't have to grab a tool every time you want to undo your Covertech. Yeah, 2 buttons, big blade depth. This is a great one for swinging around. Equally, I kind of just like this plated copper and a nice copper colour design. And this feels great in hand. Great job. Nice and simple. Notice how some of my favourite sabers aren't overly complex sabers. Some of them it's just how simple they are, the simplicity of them that I love, and how solid they feel. Speaking of that, let's go to ones that aren't super simple. This is the KR Ahsoka set, the Thrawn Hunters, apologies. Goff designed his own brass crystal chamber chassis, which are brilliant. They look amazing, absolutely phenomenal. I just wanted to do my own as well, and there's loads of space in here. You've got your board, you've got your batteries, you've got your crystals, you've got room for motors if you want them, accent lights up the wazoo, everywhere. So I'll just demonstrate that on this one. I was trying to remember. Some of these sabers go into my shelves and I forget how to operate them. Forgive me. Turn the kill key.
Not even your laser swords would be able to protect you from all that firepower.
So I've got a nice glowing crystal there. Some accent lights down here and here. Found the recharge port. I've got my coffee board set rather low. But yeah, it's lovely. These are lovely in hand as well. These are beautiful, beautiful hilts in hand. Cal did a great job on these. Really, really good. Very, very happy with these. It was an expensive set, but oh man, was it worth it. Single button setups both. And once you undo this screw and this screw on my chassis design, you can then pop your board up using a little pry tool. It's got like a snap feature on it, which then you can gain access to your SD card and your USB. Yeah, really nice. Removable battery. You've got the recharge port on the sides here, which come with the hilt, but I like a removable battery these days, which is not what I used to be into. I used to be into in-hilt batteries that you never ever have to remove, but the game's changed so much since then. Since I first started working in the community, the demand has changed, and equally so it should have, because being able to charge these up outside the hilt is better, because man, batteries, when you have to buy, if you're a collector of hilts and you have to buy a battery for every single install, yeah, okay, in the grand scheme of things of the rest of the installs, they're not that expensive. But in the grand scheme of things, when you add up all those batteries, say I've got 60 hilts that are all installed and I've got 60 batteries, that's a lot of money to sink in right there. So having removable batteries is the best way to be these days. If you like my chassis, it's available on Shapeways, but I like Goths a lot. But I was just having a go at it myself. But a great set of hilts. They come with some extra length blade holders as well, because obviously it's a very, very shallow blade depth right there, which is a good idea just to get that extension. Yeah, wonderful set of hilts. Well done, Cal. Right. Let's move on to another beautiful, beautiful hilt, celebrating the oldies but goodies. This is the Sabers and Stock Custom Works Revented hilt. This is one of my favourites, absolute favourites. You can see in my hand, it's a baby hilt. It is super small, super slim. Great blade depth. 2 plungers, cover tech wheel on the bottom, hidden sound venting, and if you unscrew it, easy access to your chassis, your speaker, your board, crystal chamber.
Dark Lord of the Sith.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful hilt. Love it a lot. Great, great hilt. When Shane sent me this for a chassis design, I was more than happy to oblige, because when I got it in hand, I fell in love with it. I don't think anything Sabers does is bad. I think everything Sabers does is really good, quite well thought out. And this is just so beautiful in hand. Yes, I love it a lot. Good job them, and you've got a blade retention screw at the back here. So the 2 plungers here are metal, and it will come with a tri-star retaining heatsink thing, but I designed a stock PCB holder that sits in there perfectly. It's actually a long pin version, which I never use the long pins, but it just brings up the pins high enough to then make contact with your blade. But yeah, beautiful, beautiful hilt. Definitely one of my favourites. Right, on to the 89 Sabers Mace Windu, the Windu 2020. This was sent to me for a chassis design by Corban when they were retailing this hilt. I've had many different chassis designs for this. This is the latest one. So got a property board with a board retention design at the back. Crystal down here, crystal up here, recharge port as well because the battery's up here by these switches. In the way, it takes an 18650 wired battery. You could just about get an 18650 in the bottom here, but your board access will be compromised as well. And I just wanted to try and fill as much of this pommel space as possible with some lights, some blinkies, and so it made great space for another crystal chamber. I used real quartz crystals. See them? I don't know how it's coming off on video. They're glowing purple. I've got a hidden 22mm speaker in here as well. Very loud. So the reason why this goes onto my list, this was the first good attempt at this hilt. Chrome plated, where you can see all of this shiny fingerprint magnet chrome. Got gold plated brass all the way around here and up the top, rings at the bottom. Got this beautifully patterned Yik Sang style, well, a Yik Sang style of rubberized pad at the back. And then you've got these nice grips down here, which does make it quite chunky, but this looks just like the real deal. Wonderful heavy hilt. I do love it a lot, and I do try and clean it if I handle it. The chrome really does pick up the fingerprints rather well, but I love this hilt, I really do. Beautiful in the display cabinet. This is the one where people look at it in the display cabinet and go, ooh, can I have a look at this one? It's just really, really, really lovely to look at. Cool. And then finally, my last of the oldies but goodies, I have the Atom Sabers Kanan Jarrus Jedi Temple hilts. So I've had multiple different chassis designs for this one. So much so I'm struggling to remember how I take it apart. Okay, cool. So I printed my own translucent plastic plungers here. The one, I think it comes with 3D printed ones. I'm trying to remember because I got rid of them straight away. Not because there's a problem with them, I just wanted to do something else. But I think it comes with 3D plastic printed plunger spacers here, but I've just printed it in translucent plastic and come up with this chassis design, which incorporates everything. Got a removable speaker pod in the pommel here, got profi board retention design, got the 1.5mm tactile switches, accent lights that slot down sides here. This bit of the chassis down here threads on to capture those neopixels. BT Bluetooth unit, OLED screen, I may have already mentioned that. Not going to hear any sound straight away. You can see my Bluetooth's turned on. I've set this up with a delay, so it gives you time to stick it into the hilt. As you can see, you've got some accent lights down there. So if we want to see the delay in action, turn it off, turn it back on. See how well I actually timed it.
Yes, my master. It will be done.
And there we go. So you can time your profi board to only activate after a certain time, after flicking the power on. You see I've got some beautiful accent lights behind there. It's 28mm base speaker down here. Your chassis retained by this grub screw here, and you've got a blade retention screw up here, and a nice deep blade depth down there. So
Atten Rand.
okay, to this side. So this side is my blade on. Wonderful hilt, and this I'm very pleased with my latest chassis design for this one, utilising these as accent lights and plungers at the same time, without the switches sitting underneath the accent lights themselves, because that seems a little bit dodgy on these big strips. If it was behind a solid PCB driven in pixel, not a problem, but on these strips, definitely not. But yeah, I was very happy with this one. This reminds me of like the Darth Maul lightsaber from Solo or Rebels. It seems like a predecessor to the Inquisitor hilts. I'm a big fan of this one. I'm really glad I redesigned the chassis to do this. It's turned out great. But there we go, guys. That's me celebrating oldies and goodies, oldies but goodies within the community. A lot of great talent out there, and it's been a pleasure dealing with their products, dealing with those people as well. The only way the community grows is by people joining and inventing new ways to do things. And these are all hilts that I believe nobody's had a good attempt at before, and they're an absolute joy to have in my display cabinets. Guys, if you're going to Celebration, I hope you have a good time. If you're not going to Celebration, don't worry, I'm sure you will do in the future. But in the meantime, make the most of beautiful weather, have a great weekend, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.